This card literally makes me sick. Can you hear it in my voice? Literally makes me sick. Actually, yeah, my daughter got me sick. She's feeling better, by the way, but managed to transfer her cold onto me. But hey, hopefully, do we need to do the ASMR version of this video? I don't know. I feel like that would be more annoying than the sick voice, so let's just go with the sick voice and hope for the best. Anyway, so if you can stomach listening to or ear not stomach, if you can deal with listening to this voice, let's stick around because I have so much to say about the RX 6600 XT. Okay. Now, if you follow my channel, and if you do, awesome, thank you. Subscribers are beautiful people, and people who hit that join button are even more beautiful people. But hey, if you do follow my channel, you know that I already had a lot to say when this card was announced for its MSRP, and I wasn't real happy about it. And I've got to say that after reading and watching a whole bunch of reviews this morning, my channel's too small to get sent a review sample. So if you're looking for actual benchmarks done by me, look elsewhere, sorry. But if you want my thoughts based on watching and reading a ton of reviews for this card, and my opinion on should you try to buy this thing, who should try to buy this thing, is this a good card, yeah, all of that. I have so many thoughts. Okay, let's see if I can organize them through my sick, addled brain and try to get them to you. So anyway, we got the 6600 XT. And the first thing that I watched about this that irritated me was I watched the Linus Tech Tip review because those are generally short. Well, there's more thorough reviews out there. Again, I usually start with a quick one to get a rough idea and then branch out. In their review, they couldn't give a price on the card because not only is there not a reference model, which means there may or may not be cards at MSRP available at all, although apparently a bunch of reviewers did say that AMD has told them that there will be cards available at or near MSRP at launch. But anyway, in that review, they were like, we can't even tell you the price. Okay, great. So we already thought the MSRP was bad, but then we'll see what these things actually sell for. Now, not only that, but in that review, found out that the, okay, I can probably show it to you on this thing right here. Right. Green screens are confusing. Here, okay? You see this PCIe thing here? It doesn't actually need all of that. Some of those pins aren't even connected to anything. You know why? I'm like, literally, my chair's caught on my green screen. There we go. Those pins are not connected to anything because this thing operates at PCIe Gen 4, but only times 8. 8 lanes, not 16. And at PCIe Gen 4 connection, that is just fine. I have no problem with that. But here's the problem. Most people out there don't have PCIe Gen 4 support, especially somebody who's maybe just upgrading an older GPU on an older system, because that's why you're targeting one of these lower end models. Lower end, although it's still $400 GPU. What happened to low end GPUs? Oh my God. Anyway. What I'm getting at here is with this PCIe Gen 4 times 8, fine, but what if you're running it at Gen 3? Does that matter? The LTT video mentioned this was a thing, but didn't really test it that I remember. So in all the reviews I was watching, finally I found out the guys over at Hardware Unboxed, thank you, best blue bar graphs in the business. Let's take a look here. They actually tested it. And does it make a difference? It can. And I think it will more in the future. So here's the Radeon RX 6600 XT on PCIe 3.0 versus 4.0. So this is the card stacking up against itself and the percentage difference. So obviously in Doom Eternal, look at this. In Doom Eternal, the PCIe Gen 4 slot performed 25% faster than this did on a PCIe Gen 3 board. Okay. Now, in most games, the difference was 5% or less. But I would imagine that Doom Eternal could be a sign of things to come in GPUs that might require higher memory bandwidth. And where I think this comes down to is in games that do require a high memory bandwidth. And so far, it only looks like Doom Eternal, out of the ones that Hardware Unbox tested, and while they test a lot of games, they don't test every game, right, showed a huge difference. But again, this is just like a nerf on your card that doesn't need to be there. Could we not have just put 16 lanes in there? This makes me mad, AMD. This is stupid. If the 6600 XT was actually an extreme budget card, if this thing was coming in more at like $280 instead of $380 mythically MSRP, and actually going to be much more than that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It'd be one thing if you were somehow saving us a lot of money by doing this. Then I'd be like, okay, in most games it's not going to be that big of a deal, whatever. But the fact that you'd cut corners like this, which can make a big difference, as we're seeing here in Doom Eternal, although in some games it's literally zero difference, it's just shameful to me, honestly. That's my thoughts on it. Okay. How much money did it save them to not run 16 lanes there? Can it really have been that much to do this? Kind of a slap in the face when your MSRP is already this high. Now, let's talk about its average performance against its competitors and mythical MSRPs, and then let's look at why you might still end up wanting to try to buy one of these, despite how incredibly negative I am here. But yeah, let's go into relative performance. How many of you guys are sticking with this video? Should I switch back to ASMR mode? Is that less annoying or more annoying? Too bad this is not a live chat. You can't really give me feedback. So I'm just going to assume that this is actually less annoying, because if somebody walks in on you and you're watching like this weird ASMR GPU review, I don't know, you'd probably feel kind of awkward, right? Whereas with this, they're just like, oh, you're listening to some sick guy talk. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's jump over to, oh, that's prices. I want relative performance. Where was my relative performance? Okay. So I went over to Tech Power Up. And I like that they give nice graphs with like percentage comparisons to other GPUs. So the other thing I want to point out here is, yeah, this is marketed as a 1080p card, but here's the other big thing. If you look at how this stacks up against other GPUs, it's going to be very different at 1080p than it is at 1440p. And unfortunately, a lot of the people who might want to buy these right now might actually be gaming at 1440p, because first of all, it's $400 if you manage to get it at MSRP, and realistically, you're going to be spending a lot more than that for this most likely. So a lot of people buying this thing aren't super low budget 1080p gamers. Now maybe you are, and maybe you're like esports titles, and this will do fine. But look at this. Look at this. Okay, the 6600 XT, they actually had a Strix OC version because there isn't really a reference model. So the Strix OC version, which is going to be the 100% baseline here, and Strix OCs are going to be some of the best performing cards out there. Okay. Well, you might be like, well, it's performing almost like a 2080 at 1080p. Okay, fine, but let's compare it against its current competition. The nearest card in price is a 3060 Ti. Theoretically, right, theoretical MSRPs. This thing is like 5% different in price than a 3060 Ti. But the 3060 Ti at 1080p has a 12% performance lead, which makes the 6600 XT a much worse value. But if you move up to 1440p, the difference is even worse. This is even worse. Is my fat head in the way? I can shrink myself. I can't even do my I'm melting thing because I'm too sick to do that. I can do this low voice. That's about all that's going to get out there. Okay. All right. The higher ranges are just gone. Anyway, I don't actually feel that bad though. It's just my throat's like this. Anyway, so look at this. The 3060 Ti at 1440p, which is where a lot of people might actually try to use this card because of GPU prices right now, has a 19% lead. And again, it only costs like, the 6600 XT only costs like 5% less. So for 5% less money, theoretically, you're getting almost 20% less performance. Now, AMD would like you to compare it with the 3060. However, the 3060, theoretically, right, if we're comparing MSRPs, is actually a further distance in price from the 3060 Ti. The 6600 XT is like 15% more price than a 3060, and at 1080p, sure, it has like, the 3060 gives you 88% of the performance. It's roughly cost effective there, but jumping up to 1440p, again, the 3060 is closing the gap on this thing. Okay, not to mention these are reference 3060s being compared up against the OC aftermarket partner versions of the Strix OC version here on the 6600 XT, which is actually making it look better than an actual reference MSRP version would. I guarantee you the Strix OC is not going to cost $380. Okay, so there's my overall thoughts on this thing. Summary. This card is completely damaged due to that the 3.0 the on the 3.0 thing. All right, with the times 8 instead of the times 16. This is it's like just snapping off some lanes there, which might not matter, but that's really frustrating that they threw that in there on this high priced of a card. At 1440p, where a lot of people might try to use this, it's hurt even more. But that being said, if you just need a GPU right now, can this thing deliver good 1080p gaming? Yes. And can it even deliver good 1440p gaming? I'd actually argue yes. I personally have an RTX 2070 non-super, and this thing is just fine at 1440p. In some games, you have to turn down to high instead of ultra, or use DLSS or something like that. But it's fine, okay? So if you want to use a 6600 XT for 1440p, and this is the GPU that you can get right now, it can get the job done. And speaking of all of that, let's transition to why I think pricing on this is going to just be bad, but actually possibly better than the NVIDIA counterparts. Let's look at GPU pricing right now. I actually have a lot of good information on this, okay? Thought about just doing a separate video on this, but I didn't. Okay, so got some tweets here. First of all, this is 3D Center, which tracks GPU pricing. And unfortunately, we've kind of flatlined here with at least NVIDIA is slowly trending down lately over the last couple of weeks. And AMD has actually been trending up. Now, why is it trending up slightly? I would consider this almost flat. But why isn't AMD trending down? AMD isn't really producing very many GPUs. That's why. Look at this. So Tech Epiphany is tracking sales week 31 Mind Factory. Okay, look at this. AMD has sold 575 units. NVIDIA has sold 1,320. So of the total market, that's NVIDIA selling like 70% of the GPUs being sold and AMD selling 30% of them. So what I'm getting at here is that AMD is not producing a lot of graphics cards because they're having to share their process node with their processors, right? They produce all the GPUs in the Xbox and PlayStation consoles, all of that. So a lot of their process node space is spoken for. However, the one good thing about the 6600 XT is that you can fit 4 of these GPU dies into the same space as the 6800 XT, which means what AMD claims, although they've claimed this at other launches too, is that they're going to have a lot of supply available here. And AMD cards don't tend to command the same price hike as a lot of the NVIDIA ones for various reasons. You've got your lack of DLSS support, not great mining rates compared to the non-hash rate limited NVIDIA versions, all of that. So I guess what I'm getting at is I don't think AMD's actually been producing a lot of GPUs. Actually, I don't have this tab up here with me, but if you look at the recent Steam hardware survey and you dive into it, if you believe the stats there is representative of the whole market, there have been more RTX 3090 GPUs sold than every AMD 6000 series card combined. If you believe the Steam hardware survey results. There was some Reddit thread post about this that I went through. Anyway, so AMD is not producing a lot of 6000 series cards. at least relative to NVIDIA. So they claim that because you can fit so many of these dies into the same space as like one 6800, I think that we should actually see a good amount of supply here. And the thing is, we've been talking a lot about how these compare to MSRP, but let's look at how much things actually cost right now. Let's say I wanted to price something out on PC Part Picker, something like that, right? Okay. Actually, let's not even do that first. Let's go to Newegg Shuffle. So this made me mad this morning because I entered Newegg Shuffle this morning. But honestly, even if I win, I'm not sure I'm going to buy any of these. Look at this. Keep in mind that this is Newegg Shuffle. So technically, these are the like retailer price that isn't scalped. An RTX 3060, non-scalped, that I would have to win a 1 in a million lottery chance to get the chance at buying this, is $560. And you know what a 6600 XT does do? It outperforms this card. The 6600 XT is better than this card, and I would have to win a lottery to buy this card at $560. The 3060 Ti is coming in with a combo deal for $734. You get some RAM thrown in there with it. The 3070 with nothing thrown in. This is the light hash rate version, right? It's less in demand for miners. You have to win a lottery to buy it for $810. 3070 Ti, I have to win a lottery to buy it for $980. I'm sorry, guys, but this is what the prices are right now, okay? So if this is what the competition actually costs right now, and again, if we actually do hop over to something like PC Part Picker, and I'm like, okay, I want to buy, let's say, like I said, the 3060 Ti is theoretically the closest MSRP to this card. I literally can't buy one. On PC Part Picker, there's apparently nothing in stock at any of the major retailers that they track, okay? And let's say that I want to buy a 3060. A 3060, the cheapest price that this is tracking down for me is $873. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't find a better price if you monitor stock drops, but honestly, I've been on a stock drop Discord and YouTube feed a lot over the last week, just to kind of see where things are at. Most of the things that are dropping on there are 6800 XTs for like $1,400 or $1,500 and 3080 Ti's for $1,800 to $2,100. That's most of what I've seen there the last several days, okay? There's not a lot of low-end cards dropping, and when they do, they usually sell out instantly, even if they're priced at like $600 or $700 for like a 3060. So if that's where we're actually at in this market, and you actually just need a GPU right now, and you have a chance at scoring this thing for something like $400 or even $500, I have to say that I hate it. But in the market we're in right now, that's unfortunately a good deal. If you can wait. If you're like me and you have an RTX 2070 or something, it's not even really an upgrade, right? So I'm not going to go out and try to get one of these. But if you're on a PC that's not even running, or you're just trying to build a PC at all and you don't even have one, I hate to say it, but if they actually do launch with a bunch of stock on this thing, it might be your best chance to get a good 1080p card and a pretty okay 1440p card at anything less than like $800 right now, which is very sad to say. What do you guys think about all this? I've rambled on. I need to give my voice a rest. If you stuck around to the end of the video, despite my voice, wow, thank you. Anyway, I hope you all have an excellent day.